We all have bad takes. The difference is we're not all on TV, especially when it comes to sports talk. You're wrong a lot more than you're right. But these men that we see in front of us, from Rashad McCants to Steven Jackson to Jay Williams, all have one thing in common. They've gone on national television and dropped an absolute stinker of a quote before. Today we are here to rank the worst bad takes in NBA history from NBA players. We're going to start off with a tame one. This is Steven Jackson. The worst quote that I could find from Steven Jackson is when he said, "He is better than Ray Allen, he is better than Manu Ginobili, and he's a better basketball player than Vince Carter." He's not better than any of them. In no capacity. At no point. Ever. All right, this is going to go in the... I'm just going to put in just a hot take category. It's a hot take. It's not the worst one ever because, like, somebody brought up, is he better than Blake Griffin in that same interview, and he said he's not better than Blake Griffin. I don't know where the line is drawn for Mr. Steven Jackson, but he's definitely not better than Vince Carter. He's definitely not better than Ray Allen, and he is definitely not better than Manu Ginobili. Up next, we have Mario Chalmers, who on a podcast, I believe, said, quote, "Bron went to 9 straight finals, but Jordan dominated a decade." As if Bron didn't, but whatever. "There's only been 3 teams to win a ring in the 90s. You go to Bron's era, there's been 4 to 5. Wow, there was one extra team who won a finals. Why isn't Bron compared to Pippen? Nobody fears him." All right, if you want to say Jordan dominated his decade more than LeBron did, I'll green light you there, champ. 6 titles in 10 years is incredible. That's dominant. But to say, why isn't Bron compared to Scottie Pippen? What are we doing? What are we doing? That's downright dumb. If he just went, Bron went to 9 straight finals, but Jordan dominated a decade, and then went on to say the team's BS. I disagree with it personally, but I can see he'd be right. That's a good opinion, a fair opinion. Once he said, "Why isn't Bron being compared to Pippen?" Bro, you jumped off the bridge. Like that went from decent take to like, this is just horrible. It's stupid. Bad take. Plus, does anyone know? I think it's like one of his exes is James Harden's baby mom now, I think I saw. Wild. Either way, Big OP Olden Polynice, either way, he said, quote, "What LeBron's doing isn't impressive because the amount of minutes he plays and opportunities he gets." He essentially said LeBron's shot chucking, and it's not impressive that he plays as well as he does at 41 because he's shot chucking. And I believe he said something along the lines of like Robert Parrish could have done similar if you gave him the minutes load. No. For that, he's going to go in, I'm going to put him in, does he watch the sport? Because, like, if you watch Robert Parrish those last few seasons, he was running on borrowed time, as they say. Don't get me wrong, at least it's a basketball take and not like an all-time take, but it's a stupid one at that. He plays heavy minutes, and that's why it's not impressive. Olden, why didn't you play till 41 then? Why didn't you average 27 minutes at 41? Why didn't you do it? Why didn't Michael do it? Why didn't any of the other all-time? Why didn't Hakeem do it? Why didn't Ewing do it? Why didn't any other all-time great do it, really, besides like Kareem? You know, why didn't Jerry West at 41 log the same numbers LeBron does? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. He's making it seem like it's not impressive when it very clearly is to everyone who understands the game, watches the game, and is not actually an idiot. I'm sorry, Olden. That take makes you an idiot. Up next, we have Wrong Rim Ricky Davis, who said, "I'd average 30 points per game in today's NBA." I mean, that's got to be for attention. And at least it's one of those quotes where it's like, I'd be one of the best in the game today. Those takes are always kind of like, they sound like sour NBA players talking like I'd be way better today than I was back in the day. Now, Ricky Davis is a weird one, a very weird one. He was considered one of the original empty stats guys, to be honest with you, especially because they called him Wrong Rim Ricky for a reason, if you know that story. Ricky could score, but to say he'd average 30 is hilarious. If he were to join the NBA today, I think he would be more like a Malik Monk type, a come off the bench and get you 16. Which is what he did literally in his NBA career. He'd have damn near the same NBA career if he joined the NBA in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and the 2020s. He'd have basically the same NBA career. It's Ricky Davis, for Christ's sake. Stop the cap. Up next, we have Draymond. Draymond's had maybe 100 hot takes in his life because he podcasts while being an active NBA player. It's led to some really bad takes, but the one that I found that I thought was maybe the funniest one was, quote, I don't know why he's speaking in third person like he's Ricky Henderson here, but, quote, Draymond will fuck you up, but I'm not a dirty player. Wemby is a European player. They are a bit dirty. I think he said that during the finals. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's dumb to clump all European players in together as if they're all from the same place. I get it, they're all from the same continent, but France is not the same country as Czechoslovakia. I'm trying to say that a French player plays dirty and so does a Polish player because they're both European. I don't know. That's a whole continent of people you just lump together. That's the first issue. The second issue, saying Draymond's not dirty. What? What? I mean, it stomps Sabonis' chest. He's tripped guys before. I forget who he tripped, but he has definitely tripped before in the NBA. Choking Rudy Gobert for no reason. For no reason. It still makes no sense. Draymond is by definition a dirty player. Like, he's very close to the Rasheeds and such like that. The guys who make the dangerous plays and get all the flagrant fouls. There's a place for them in the NBA. Don't get me wrong. The NBA would be kind of boring at times without Draymond being an idiot, right? So he provides some entertainment factor. But to call himself not a dirty player, he's in his own world somewhere. It's just not accurate. Up next, we have Jason Williams, who said, Victor Wembanyama is not a real shot blocker like Alonzo Mourning. I mean, does he watch the sport? Does he watch the game? Now, I get it. I kind of get what he meant when you listen to the full take. It's still a bad one. But what he's saying is that Alonzo Mourning was kind of camped out in the paint more while Wemby isn't. And I don't know what to tell him other than that's because the NBA is played about 5 times differently than when you were in the NBA, Jason. I don't know what else to tell you. Wemby, of course, isn't going to be in the paint all game because not every center is in the paint all game. How do you want him to guard Karl-Anthony Towns in the finals, camping out underneath the rim? You know, it makes it kind of difficult when you're facing stretch 5s and 4-out, 1-in ball. It makes it really difficult to just camp out in the paint like the old lumbering centers of the 80s, 90s, 2000s. You know, the Ewings, the Malones, guys like that were able to just kind of camp out because there was 3 people in the paint at all times. Nowadays, there is no way for you to line up consistently underneath the rim and be effective at all times. We've seen that from the likes of Rudy Gobert, and we've seen that from Wemby. He struggled against Cat in the finals because Cat was able to pull him out of the paint. But like I said, it kind of makes sense because it's like, okay, I get what you mean. When Wemby's not like in the paint. He's not like Hakeem down low where he's camped out for, 24-second shot clock. He's in the paint for 16 of them, Wemby can't do that, but he definitely is close to that. But he's still an elite shot blocker no matter what way you go about it. If you go at Alonzo Mourning at the rim, you're probably going to get stuffed. And if you go at Wemby at the rim, you're probably going to get stuffed. They're both elite shot blockers. It's just the game is played way differently. That's why I put in, does he watch the sport? The sport is not the same than what he's talking about with Alonzo Mourning. Nick Young, got to be for attention because his quote was, the Tim Duncan Spurs were not a dynasty. I know they never repeated, and some people can argue that as the reason they're not a dynasty, but they were. They dominated for over 2 decades. So that's the dynasty. When you're consistently in title contention every year, every single year for like 20 years, and you win multiple finals in that frame of time, you're a dynasty. You win 5 in like 20 years and you never lose sub 50 games. That's just incredible. That's a dynasty. And it's built on 3 guys, Tony, Ginobili, and Tim, obviously. Tim Duncan and those Spurs were indeed a dynasty. It's a baseline take where it's not that hot, but it's just kind of dumb because it's like, I think everyone knows that was indeed a dynasty. This is proof that even all-time legends have bad quotes. We have Mr. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar here, who referred to Dirk Nowitzki as, quote, a one-trick pony. Because somebody said, I believe it was in a Fanatics Fest type of interview setting or whatever, where people get the microphone and ask whatever question they want. Somebody basically said that Dirk's shot, one-legged shot, fadeaway, is the most unblockable shot since the skyhook. Probably is, because he's 7 foot, releasing it over his head at that high release point. It's either him or Kevin Durant as like the most unblockable jump shots in NBA history, right? But to call Dirk Nowitzki, he also said he didn't dominate. He wasn't dominant. That was another part of the quote. Dirk was not dominant and was a one-trick pony. Now, I'm going to say it's just a hot take. I will say the one-trick pony comment, I get where he's coming from, but when he kind of expanded the idea, he said Dirk wasn't an elite rebounder. He said Dirk wasn't an elite defender. He said Dirk wasn't an elite playmaker. I get where he's coming from. Dirk was not an elite defender. Dirk was not an elite rebounder. but that doesn't make him not dominant, considering he won an MVP. And can you win an MVP and not be dominant? Is there any MVP in NBA history that did not dominate that season in particular, at least? The one-trick pony thing, I guess I can let go a little bit because I get where he's coming from, kinda. You know what I mean? Dirk was just a pure scorer. He wasn't like a 10-rebound-a-game guy or a 3-block-a-game guy. But to call him a one-trick pony is still a little bit of a stretch, and then to say he wasn't dominant is just outright wrong. An all-time legend can have a bad take. Rashad McCants, downright dumb. His take was Kobe's 81. Kobe's 81. It's out the mud with Rashad McCants. Yeah, it's one of the worst takes ever. I think he said it because he was like, I got 15 in the first quarter. I could get 81. 15, 30, 45, 60. Yeah, that's not how that one works. You'd have to score like 25 in the second quarter alone to be on pace for that. And he didn't do that, ever. Rashad McCants was a good basketball player back in college. His NBA career was not like that. Now, I think as we know, Rashad McCants is a notorious troll who now calls himself like Little Skip Bayless, which, ew, get up. Bro, ew. Brother, ew. We also know that he's, I don't know. He might be one of the only NBA players of CTE, to be honest with you. The way he like left Gil's arena and kind of tried to like move around Gil. That whole situation was a little bit weird. I didn't want to cover it because it was not my business, not my monkey, not my circus type beat. But Rashad McCants' Kobe 81 take is arguably one of the worst in NBA history because even the math behind it is stupid. Him saying he had 15 points in the first quarter, he could go for 81. No. Brandon Jennings, also downright dumb. Gilbert Arenas gave some real idiots a platform, huh? It's a damn shame. Brandon Jennings came at Jason Tatum a lot. I have pretty much any time he talks about Jason Tatum written down in part of my notes because he said that Tatum is the softest superstar in Celtics history. He also said he was just really soft in general. He basically called him a choke. Like, he has multiple bad quotes about Jason Tatum. Whether you agree, whether you like Jason Tatum or not, I think you can realize he is not soft. You know, he is not like, he's a family guy. Oh, Peter Griffin shit. He's a guy that very much loves his family and stays out of the limelight, but soft is not the word. Not the word to describe Jason Tatum. But the other bad take that Brandon Jennings also had was when he openly said that he believes Malik Monk is a better basketball player than Donovan Mitchell. It's a really bad take as well. Downright dumb. Downright dumb. Dennis Rodman said, I think this was at Fanatics Fest as well, that LeBron James would be one of the easiest guys to guard in his life because he would force him to take jump shots. Now, I don't know if you've watched basketball, Mr. Rodman, but LeBron is a decent jump shooter. Don't know if you've watched. It is what it is. I kind of put it in Gotta Be for attention because it was at Fanatics Fest, but also Dennis Rodman himself has gone on record and said he doesn't watch basketball anymore. Obviously, you do it for 20 years like he did. You don't have to love the game anymore. You could step away and not watch anymore. I don't blame you. That was your life for 20 years. But what I will say is that it's really hard for anyone to take your opinion seriously on the NBA when you openly come out and say you don't watch. You know what I mean? I'm not going to jump on here and start talking about this season of MasterChef when I have never watched the show in my life. I would never sit here and talk about the WWE Championship if I never watched wrestling in my life. You get what I'm saying? It's just the person it's coming from. That's why I'm saying it's got to be for attention because it was at Fanatics Fest. I think it was. It was some type of like one of those like open mic type of things. It's just saying shit just to go viral for clips. Dennis Rodman's Dennis Rodman. Gilbert Arenas is up next, and on Gil's Arena, I believe he said that Jalen Brunson is not a superstar because Jalen Brunson does not move shoes like that. That's basically what he was getting down to, because his main argument was like, are you going to go out and buy the Jalen Brunson shoes? I'd say a lot of people would, to be honest with you. I don't know if he even has a shoe. I don't pay attention to shoes like that, really. I'm not a feet guy, full disclosure. But to say he's not a superstar after winning a finals and a finals MVP and being the best player on a finals team, do you watch the sport, man? Just because he doesn't move shoes like that, I don't even know if he has them. Just because he doesn't move shoes like that, potentially, I don't even know if he does again, doesn't mean he's not a superstar. That's not how any of this works, because that would exclude every center ever from being a superstar. Let's just be honest. Centers don't move shoes like that. Shaqs were hideous growing up, but now people like them now. I don't know. But like centers struggle to move shoes. Does that make none of them superstar? Is anyone going to go buy the Moses Malone ones? No. I doubt anyone would have even when he was in his prime. because nobody buys center shoes. So by his same logic, no center in NBA history would ever be a superstar because centers don't move shoes. Now, Kevin Durant recently has had some really interesting takes, like stuff about the Sixers super team, the newly created Sixers super team versus his 2017 2018 Warriors team. None of those are the quote that I'm going with. None of them. The one quote that I am going with Kevin Durant, though, is him saying, and I quote, "I'm just sitting in the house, I might want to go musty for a couple of days." That's the quote that's on. That's just dumb. That's just dumb. If I'm just sitting in the house, I might want to go musty for a couple of days. Now, I'm very cleanly. I know a lot of men that aren't very clean. If you're at the house, why would you go musty? First of all, if you want to say, like, I might not take a shower for a day, okay, whatever, bro. But to say I might want to go musty is not the phrasing there. It's just not the phrasing. Also, if you're home, the shower's right there, bro. I'm understanding if he's like, yeah, I'll go musty a couple days. Like if I go camping, if you go camping out in the woods and you don't got a shower around you, yeah, you're going to go musty. But to say like you're just on the couch and you're like, nah, I feel like ducking a shower. Why? It's right there, bro. Don't get me wrong. Kevin Durant's had some really bad NBA takes, but I think that this is a take beyond bad because it's not even NBA related. It's life related. If you're sitting on the couch, what is stopping you from taking 15 minutes out of your day to go step into the shower, use the bar soap for 5 minutes, get out, dry yourself, and now you're not going musty anymore? Why would you go musty intentionally? Norris Cole is up next. His quote is just dumb. Just dumb. To me, somebody in the comments is going to be like, I understand him, I'll justify it. Shut up. His quote was, I'd rather have 50 million in 2 rings than 400 million in no rings. Now, I will say, it's a lot of role players that say stuff like that I'd rather have my rings than the money. You're lying. Here's the thing. Larry Fitzgerald recently had a very good quote about this. I know you might not be a football fan. Larry Fitzgerald is one of the best wide receivers in NFL history, hands down. Most reliable hands I've ever seen in my lifetime. He said, basically, I'm not quoting him verbatim, but he basically said, I'd rather have my Hall of Fame jacket and my accolades that I have than a ring, because there's a lot of guys that got a ring that really don't deserve a ring. I'd rather just have my accolades. There hasn't been a Joe Schmo that won MVP, but there have been plenty of Joe Schmoes that have won championships. If he said 50 million in 2 rings is better than 100 million in no rings, you know what? It's $50 million off the table. It sucks, but you're going to survive off 50 million regardless. You're going to survive on that 50 million in 2 rings. But $400 million is a bit of a stretch. You're damn near at $500 million. That will last you more than 3 generations, I'd imagine, unless there's like some really awful spending in there. But to say 400 million is where you lose me. Again, I'd rather have the money. Not many Joe Schmoes have gotten paid $400 million. That means you were elite for over a decade and you got paid for it for over a decade and you took 0 discounts. That's the James Harden type of thing. I'd rather have James Harden's career than Norris Cole's career. 110%. Patrick McCaw has like 3 NBA championships and Money in the Bank. I would rather have James Harden's life than Patrick McCaw's. And I know, well, not James Harden's life. I'd just rather have the stuff that he's won, the accolades. It's not a hard debate, to be honest with you. Joe Schmoes have won NBA championships. Joe Schmoes have not won MVPs. Joe Schmoes typically don't make $400 million either. It's my final point. This one's just for attention. It's Reggie Miller. He said he'd average 45 a game in today's era. Now, Reg would be tough because he'd be allowed to get bulk threes up. I think he'd be closer to like 25. He was a really good scorer, but I wouldn't say he was a reliable. I mean, Reggie Miller's not like an all-NBA, MVP, perennial MVP candidate. He's a quality player, but Reggie Miller was never seen as like a top 5, top 10 guy. Top 10 maybe. Top 5 guy in his era, not really ever. The reason why I'm not going to go in on the 45 a game take is because it's just NBA players lamenting. This is what they do when they get on camera nowadays. They talk about how easy it would be to score in today's era. He said without hand checking, he'd be able to do whatever he wanted to. Let's be honest, bro. Hand checking wouldn't have affected you. Your game would have still been coming off of, elevator door screens and stuff like that. He'd be used like Klay Thompson, like prime Klay Thompson. That's exactly how they would use Reggie Miller in the modern era. Scottie Pippen himself has put him over LeBron. He basically said that I have 6 rings and I didn't chase mine. Now, I think it's a little bit of a ridiculous quote because LeBron's ring chasing, quote unquote, was him putting together teams to join. Like, he said he was going to join the Heat with D Wade and then brought Chris Bosh with him. Was it a super team? Absolutely. Was it a ring chase? No. I'd say the closest thing to ring chasing was when Scottie Pippen requested a trade so that way he could go play with Charles Barkley and Hakeem Olajuwon in Houston. I'd say that's a ring chase. I'd say LeBron going to Philly is a ring chase, but that's about it. I'm not saying the Lakers was him ring chasing. He went and joined fucking Lonzo Ball. LeBron joining the Lakers was not ring chasing. LeBron joining the Cavs for the second time was not ring chasing. LeBron joining the Sixers is ring chasing. Yes. The reason that I'm putting it in just a hot take is because Scottie Pippen has been notorious for saying some of the dumbest things possible since retirement. He's gone on PBD. I don't know if you guys know what PBD show is. Run by a scam artist. Well, we won't talk about that. He goes on like PBD and all these other podcasts and starts just straight up capping, talking about how me and Jordan were never close. We're not friends. Listen, I believe you if you say you're not friends in 2026. I don't see how Michael Jordan could stand being around you for more than 15 fucking minutes. But you are not better than LeBron James, and at no point in history were you ever better than LeBron James. Maybe when LeBron was a rookie, all right? But the thing is, with Scottie Pipp, he was the B on every team he ever won with. He was the B. LeBron was never the B on any team he ever won with. He was better than D Wade for the 2 in Miami. He was better than Kyrie in Cleveland, and he was better than AD in LA. He was never the 2. I'd take 4 as the 1 option, then 6 as the 2. Ryan Hollins used to say some wild things at ESPN. The one that I pulled up was after his trade to Oklahoma City, he said Chris Paul is no longer an elite player. Now, I'll tell you why that's wrong. Because Chris Paul literally shat on that argument the next 2 seasons. 3 seasons, really. You think about it, he goes to the Thunder. The ESPN gives them a 0.5 chance to make the playoffs, and they're the 5 seed. And they exceed all expectations. It's him, it's Shea, and it's Dennis Schroeder of all people, right? So that's elite. He was elite in OKC. He gets traded from OKC because OKC rebuilds. They said they want to go into a rebuild. He gets traded to Phoenix. In Phoenix, he goes on to be the second best player on a team that goes to the finals and then is the 1 seed the year after that and wins 60 games. Again, still elite. He has more ridiculous quotes. That's why it's got to be in just for attention. It got to be for attention because he was on ESPN. If you listen to him as the Rockets broadcaster now, he's actually not that bad. I will say that. As the Rockets home broadcaster, he's not that bad. On ESPN, though, he was downright unbearable. Kenyon Martin came out with a hot take on Gil's Arena. This was during the Mavericks finals run in 2024 or whenever that was, saying that Luka's not the best player on that team and that Kyrie was the best player on that team. No. They never get to the finals without Luka. They never do. Without Kyrie, they probably can still get out of the first round. Without Luka, they don't even make it to the first round. Luka was absolutely the best player on that Mavericks team. Absolutely. And the reason that you could tell as well was because look at the finals in and of itself. Luka was not great and the team was playing horribly. Kyrie was individually horrible in that Celtics series. He did not have a singular, he might have had a good game 4, but he did not have a good game at all. Luka was very clearly hurt in that series, and the team looked terrible because of him. Kyrie was healthy, Luka wasn't, and the team looked horrible because Luka wasn't playing great. Kyrie wasn't playing great. At least Luka had the excuse of, bro, he was getting iced. He was getting wraps around him for hours pregame. He had pounds of wraps on him before the start of every game. Kyrie was perfectly healthy. What's his excuse? Can't play in Boston? Yeah, that's kind of his excuse because he can't play in Boston. That's just a fact. Up next, we have the reason that this video was made. It's Monta Ellis. He said that if you switched him and Steph Curry on the teams that won the championships, you would have gotten the same thing. It would have been the same result. If you swapped him for Steph Curry on the 73-9 Warriors, on the KD teams, on the team before KD then won the finals. I believe he got named GM of Alcorn State or something like that. It's a downright dumb take, and it's one of the worst in NBA history. Maybe the worst take in NBA history. Now, I don't want to discredit Monta Ellis as a player. He was a bucket, he was cold, he was a 20-a-game type of guy. He could score at will at some points. But he is never and was never and could never be the same player Steph Curry was. If you replace Steph Curry for Monta Ellis on the team that went 73-9, they probably win 45 games. If you replace Monta Ellis on the team with Kevin Durant, they still probably got a chance to win the finals, but Kevin Durant isn't even joining that team to play with Monta Ellis. If his options going into that free agency were join Monta Ellis and Klay Thompson with the Warriors, or go play with the Wizards with John Wall and Bradley Beal like was rumored to potentially happen that offseason, his ass would have gone to play with John Wall. They never land Kevin Durant without Steph Curry. They never break the wins record without Steph Curry. They never win the 2022 finals with Wiggins without Steph Curry, which is another finals that was just, if you swap out Monte Ellis for Steph Curry in 2022, was Monte even in the NBA in 2022? You know, stop it. Just stop it. It's a bad take at every level. There is no... Some of these takes, I'm like, oh, I can kind of see their point of view a little bit. I cannot see, have never seen, and will ever see Monte's side of this. I can't ever understand why you would say this. Again, it's always the guys that had the, I don't want to say underwhelming careers, but the guys who were scorers and that's it in the NBA, a majority of them just seem like scorn people. Not scoring people, scorn, S-C-O-R-N. Mad that they booted him to the curb and chose Steph Curry, when in all reality, we all know that if you changed history and they chose Monte over Steph Curry, they never break the wins record, they never win the 2015 finals, they never win the 2022 finals, Kevin Durant never joins them, history's different, and Steph Curry is the greatest buck of all time with Giannis, I guess. Kendrick Perkins, does he watch the sport? I think he's gotten better, I guess, as an analyst. He's not, like, he doesn't say the most stupid things anymore, I guess. He's not the leader of the clubhouse in bad takes. I'll say that. Anymore. He could reclaim his crown. But the bad take that I'm referring to in specific when referring to Kendrick Perkins is during the Bucks finals run in 2021 or 22, when he said that Giannis was the Robin to Chris Middleton. That's why it is in Does He Watch the Sport? Because I'm curious to think if Chris Middleton was the Robin after Giannis put up 50 in Game 6, including, you know, the blob that clinched the finals against the Suns. I'm curious if he still had the same take that Giannis is Robin after the 50 piece in the finals. I'm curious, really curious to see how he feels about that. Giannis was the best player on that team, and it's not even a debate, man. All right, Jay Williams. This is the worst take maybe in NBA history. It's one of the worst ones. No, it's not worse than Monte, but this isn't even a basketball take. It's a kind of a societal one that has to do with basketball. He said the reason that there are so many foreign MVPs, so MVPs like Jokic, like Shea, is because of cancel culture in the United States, and that coaches are afraid of what they say to the kids. Now, I will say this. Whether you agree or disagree with cancel culture, cancel culture is mostly just the consequences of my actions. That's what cancel culture is a lot of time. But I move away from that one. I'll move away from that one just to say, Jay Williams, do you think Canada doesn't have that? Do you think Canada, arguably a more left-leaning and liberal place, not arguably, it just is, than the United States, they don't have cancel culture? You think coaches are allowed to ream out players in Canada? You think they're allowed to beat players in Canada in high school? No, they aren't. Their rules are just the same as us when it comes to how adults treat children and how coaches treat players. Now, why am I bringing up Canada? Maybe because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is from fucking Canada, Jay. Maybe. Just a thought. The two-time MVP is from Canada, a place that has cancel culture as well. I don't know what more to say about that. I'm not going in on a societal take and talking about cancel. Fuck that. We can all acknowledge it's just a really stupid take because even Europe lives like that as well. Wemby's going to be an MVP candidate coming up, and there's definitely cancel culture in France. I'll tell you that much. I'm not going to go on a societal rant about it, but I'll also say, like, Wemby is from France. I mean, do you think they don't have anything resembling cancel culture in France? I mean, I have no idea. I don't know. I think it's a really bad take because Canada exists. And Shai is a two-time MVP from Canada, a place that also has cancel culture. It has nothing to do with cancel culture, the fact that the NBA hasn't had an MVP, or the United States hasn't had an MVP in a while. I think it has more so to do with the fact that the game has grown, and there are different systems that help each player strive. Nikola Jokic has strived in his role, being the guy in Denver, getting the ball every possession pretty much, having one of the highest usage rates in NBA history because he's that damn good. I will say the NBA players from the U.S., the reason why they're not winning MVP is because they aren't learning anything about team basketball. Look at youth basketball. Look at youth sports. It's all individual. Look at how AAU is coached. Why do I care about this game right now when I'm playing another one in 2 hours? It doesn't teach kids that winning and losing is bad in nature, because you get multiple games in one day. Why do I care about that first loss when I got 2 more coming up on the same day? If I'm playing 4 games on the weekend, I don't care that I lost the first one. That's an issue. That's an issue. The fact that they get to play multiple games in one day, the wear and tear on their bodies is a completely different argument as well. But also, it doesn't teach fundamentals. It teaches, like, let's be honest, have you ever seen an AAU basketball tournament? It's brutal. It's brutal to watch, especially if it's not like D1 kids or anything like that, guys that are clearly going to like the Duke and North Carolinas of the world. It's brutal. It's a lot of, I've seen cherry picking, just downright cherry picking in AAU games before. Wild score lines that are just like, yeah, these teams aren't matched up at all personnel wise. It doesn't teach these kids anything. AAU basketball doesn't really teach. It doesn't. It gives them game experience, but it doesn't teach them basics and fundamentals. I can't tell you the amount of kids that I've interacted with at the local parks and stuff that don't know how to do like left-handed finishes and stuff like that. They have one hand. That's it, but they want to do dribble moves and stuff like that. It's a lot of street ball culture as well in the United States. Like, street ball isn't as big of a thing in other countries. I don't know. I have a lot of opinions as to why the U.S. hasn't had an MVP in a little while, but it's definitely not because of fucking cancel culture, Jay. Why did I make this video? I made this video as a point to everybody else. I've gotten multiple comments about, oh, he's in the NBA, so he knows more than you. No, stop it. That's dumb. Just because you were an elite player at your sport does not mean you can coach nor teach the game. Wayne Gretzky is the greatest hockey player to ever put on fucking ice skates. He was a mid-coach, at best. He never had a winning record as a head coach. He's the greatest player of all time, though. That doesn't mean greatness can teach greatness. That's not how that works. And it also shows, hey, A, don't be afraid to have a bad take. Everyone's gonna have a bad take here and there. You gotta own up to it, but don't be afraid to have a bad take here and there. B, nobody's opinion is more valuable than mine or yours. Our opinions are all worth the same. Kevin Durant's opinion, Norris Cole's opinion are worth the same thing. Reggie Miller's opinion on the sport means just as much as my opinion on the sport. I will never get off of that hill. I will die on that hill, that our opinions are all worth the same. If you enjoyed this video, you should like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for joining me. I'm going to catch you game. I'll see you guys in the next one.